So this is old news, but there is news of a live-action Pokemon series. Detective Pikachu proved that Pokemon designs can be adapted into a live-action 3D space, placing the mystical creatures into an action mystery movie. It was a successful experiment, but now it begs the question of, what comes next? I think the best option would be to not create a sequel to Detective Pikachu. A second game has been announced, but it has not been released. There is also the issue of where the movie's story differs from the one in the game. As such, where can the story in the movie go? It would more or less just be a repeat of some of the same story beats, but with a different mystery and without a talking Pikachu. Another mystery movie taking place in the Pokemon world is not a bad idea, but we'd need to focus on entirely new characters to get a new and interesting story out of it. But we shouldn't just limit ourselves to just mystery and action. If we place Pokemon inside of one singular genre, then that would only hinder its success in the future. But we should also remember to set a few ground rules. Pokemon is a series whose target audience is young kids, so the movies should be made for all ages, but remain family-friendly. As such, I don't think there should be any live-action Pokemon horror movies. Yes, there are a lot of ghost-type Pokemon, and disturbing Pokédex entries that could be used in a horror film. But the ultimate goal of Pokemon is to sell the brand to young kids. Scarring kids for life by showing them a Gorobus sucking the life out of its prey probably isn't the best way to go about that. Most, if not all, movies are multi-genre. Even the Detective Pikachu movie was a mix of a mystery detective film and the usual Pokemon action fare, some of the most common secondary genres in film are comedy and romance. Comedy can help keep people engaged through laughter, and romance adds onto the characters themselves by giving them multiple goals to accomplish and fleshing out their personalities through a romantic interest. Now, of course, there are many movie genres to choose from, but I don't want this script to be 3 hours long trying to explain all of the possibilities. I would like to talk briefly about some options before going into more depth about my idea for a live-action Pokemon film/TV series. Pokemon already takes place in a fantastical world, so making it a musical in this world wouldn't be completely insane. Get a writer who knows the lore and the world of Pokemon, and they could take songs from great, but why is this in a Pokemon movie, to these songs are great and they fit perfectly into the Pokemon world! Or something like that. With the introduction of Inteleon, I think a spy movie with Pokemon added into it would be nice. Kecleon can turn invisible, so that could be a factor. We could see Pokemon villains in action and set up some lore too. Maybe have the villains trying to steal an ancient artifact related to a legendary Pokemon and the main spy character has to track them down and thwart their plans. There are many Pokemon that have connections to space, and some are directly inspired by aliens. This makes for a great starting point for a sci-fi movie. What would the plot be? I don't know. But the question of what makes a Pokemon will most likely be brought up and explored. A slightly unexpected choice for a film would probably have to be a period piece, or a film that takes place during a specific period of time. With many Pokemon inspirations coming from different cultures, placing Pokemon in those cultures could make for some interesting storytelling. Obviously, a lot of Pokemon have Japanese inspirations, as the first 4 generations of Pokemon have their regions inspired by their real-life counterparts in Japan. So setting a movie in an older version of those regions and exploring what those times would be like with Pokemon around would be easy to set up. Pokemon Legends Arceus already seems to be doing this to a certain extent. As of writing this, the game has not been released, and plot elements about the game have not been touched on in great detail, but that game is going to explore Hisui and its real-life counterpart of Hokkaido. There are still the other 3 regions to explore, and the other regions in Japan that hadn't been translated into a Pokemon game that could be adapted for the Pokemon world in movie form. A Western-style movie might also be a lot of fun. There are plenty of farm animal Pokemon and Pokemon that would fit right in the Wild West. It would be a coming-of-age story with a young boy and his Ponyta trying to live up to his father's expectations, and just for fun. A King Arthur story taking place in ancient Galar would be interesting to see. Which characters would get which Pokemon? If they partner with a Pokemon at all. And how would an ancient battle between Pokemon before the age of Pokeballs be done? With all of those options, you might be wondering at this point which genre of film I have decided to expand upon for this video. I've chosen a genre that is less fantastical, but can still be explored thoroughly and made entertaining. Something that many people already love to see and dedicate their time to. I'm talking, of course, about sports movies. From football to basketball to racing, there are many flavors of what can be described as a sports film. It's relatively formulaic. You have a character who gets interested in a sport. They want to become the best at that sport or just really good at that sport. You watch them train and prepare for the big event, and then hold your breath and sit on the edge of your seat as you sit and watch their hard work pay off. Or not, if you hope to subvert the trope. Now, what sport could be set in the Pokemon world? Well, most sports are human-centric. There are several episodes in the anime that focus on Pokemon and ping pong, but that isn't extravagant enough. No. We need a sport that puts the focus on both trainer and Pokemon and is a treat to watch and experience. I'm talking about Pokemon contests. It's literally perfect. A sport where both trainer and Pokemon are essential. Training for both parties is essential. It's a performance-based sport like dance or cheerleading, so there are lots of opportunities to show off and create a spectacle for the audience to look at. And it's a chance to expand on the Pokemon world as more than just a place for fighting. There's beauty in it as well. For this, we need to take more inspiration from the anime and not the games. The game version of contests have different mechanics, and training for them is just getting the right amount of Pokeblocks or Poffins to feed to your Pokemon to make them more appealing. In the anime, we actually see what it means to show off the best aspects of your Pokemon and use their moves to put on a performance. The purpose of ribbons was slightly altered as well. In the games, you can get up to 4 ribbons for one type of contest, each a higher rank than the other. In the anime, you need to travel to different locations to take part in a contest, so there's a time limit. And you need 5 ribbons to enter into the Grand Festival. Translating these rules directly into a film might make it too long, so if the creator wants to keep these rules intact, then a television or streaming show would be the better choice. But for a film, the solution would be to take notes from other performing sports movies. You'd start with a regional competition, and then move up to state, and then to country. Depending on what the Pokemon world would describe as regions, states, and countries will determine how many competitors there are. Our main character would be a girl in high school who wants to place well in the country contest grand festival in order to get a scholarship to get into a specialty school. The higher she places, the more money she'll get, and the better chances she'll have at being accepted. To do that, she's going to need a teacher. And I came up with a pretty funny idea. Tell me, what would the house of a crazy cat lady in the Pokemon world be like? Chaos. That's what it'd be like. It'd be chaos. Cat Pokemon in the Pokemon world can get pretty big. Like, big cat, lion, panther, big. But there are also small kitten Pokemon. What would the balance between the two look like? What adjustments would need to be made to a house to allow for the best cat life possible? At the very least, there would be humongous cat beds and scratching posts the size of large trees. I'm thinking that this crazy cat lady would be our main character's mentor, for one reason or another. Maybe she doesn't have enough money to hire a professional, so she goes to this retired old bag and pleads with her to be trained by her. I don't have the specifics down pat, but the cliche of an old master teaching a young person how to master their craft is present in many films, not just sports films. One more note before we dive into what the basic plot structure would be like is to remember that contests are a gender-neutral sporting event, so both boys and girls can take part in it. This means we can also add in a romantic subplot to this film. Possibly an enemies to lovers scenario. Act 1! We need to set up the world. Mostly who our main character is and what their goal is. Contests are going to need some time in a story for an explanation. Since there's a good chance that younger Pokemon fans don't have a lot of experience with Pokemon contests, since they were taken out of the games and anime after the 4th generation. Establish what high school is like in this world, if it is any different from our own and all that. To get the plot proper started off, we need an inciting incident that makes it so our main girl has to go to the crazy cat lady to get her contest training done. See some training, meet some rivals and potential love interests, then we'd get to what a contest is like. On a small scale at least. This is only the regional competition. Act 2! We have our first victory under her belt, and the main girl has qualified to move on to the next round. Act 2 will need to fully establish the romantic subplot and dedicate time to our two love discs having moments in chemistry together, while also remembering that they are enemies in the contest world, trying to find the balance between competition and their feelings. The state contest would take place, and our main girl would qualify for the country contest. At this point, something would need to happen on an emotional level that would bring our main girl to her lowest point. Something that makes her doubt her abilities or her relationships. How far is she willing to go to achieve her dreams? Who will she hurt? Will she be okay with that? It's obvious, but the answer is to do things the right way and not hurt others for your own gain. It specifically has to be an emotional low point, because if it were tied to her contest performance, then she would not qualify for the Grand Festival and we wouldn't have a sports movie climax. Act 3! Act 3 is pretty easy. The main focus and build-up is the Grand Festival itself, seeing the culmination of all the characters' hard work and getting to see what their competition is like. Lots of heart-pounding performances and the ultimate opportunity to show off some amazing animation. We'll get the conclusion to the romantic subplot, decide whether to subvert tropes or lean into them, and from what I can think right now, there are a few ways to end the movie. Our main girl gets what she wants and gets to go to the school of her dreams. She doesn't, but she's okay with it because she's more at peace with it. Or maybe she meets her goals halfway, going to a less prestigious school and possibly even teaching young trainers about contests in her spare time. Not sure if the crazy cat lady needs to change by the end. She started the film as a badass retired contest star and was living happily with all of her cats, so maybe just a quick scene showing that she's gone back to that. But now she has some young friends that can come by and visit her every so often. That's more or less what I believe the next live-action Pokemon movie should be. Something familiar with something else slapped right onto it. Pokemon fans watching a sports movie, and sports fans watching a Pokemon movie. Really, everyone wins. Now, a question. What ideas do you guys have? What genres do you think would work well in the Pokemon world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.